The Galactic Council Hall was older than most stars. Its walls were made from dark crystal that reflected the light of 1,000 suns. Leaders from many worlds sat in a wide circle, each one powerful in their own way. They spoke with confidence, with pride, and sometimes with boredom. Today's topic felt simple to them. Humanity. A young species from a small corner of the galaxy. Emotional. Loud. Weak. The council members laughed softly as reports appeared in the air, showing human ships and human cities. To them, humans were nothing special. One by one, the council members spoke. A tall insect-like ruler said humans relied too much on emotion. A metal-skinned general claimed human weapons were outdated. Another voice said humans avoided conflict and preferred peace. The council agreed. Humanity was not a threat. The galaxy had seen stronger races rise and fall. Humans, they believed, would never stand among the great powers. The discussion was almost finished. That was when the elder stood up. The elder was ancient, older than the council itself. His body was thin and fragile, but his eyes held deep memories. When he moved, the hall grew quiet. Even the proud leaders stopped speaking. The elder did not raise his voice. He did not need to. His presence alone demanded attention. He looked around the circle, studying each face slowly, as if deciding whether they deserved the truth. Then he spoke. "Do not mistake silence for weakness," the elder said calmly. "Do not confuse peace with fear." Some council members shifted in their seats. Others smiled, thinking this was just another old warning from a being who lived in the past. The elder continued. He spoke of humanity's history, not in detail, but in feeling. He spoke of a species born on a violent world. A species shaped by storms, disasters, and endless internal wars. Humans, he said, learned pain early. They learned loss before they learned peace. The council listened, but not with respect. A few leaders exchanged amused looks. One interrupted the elder and asked why humanity should matter at all. The elder's eyes narrowed. "Because humans remember," he replied. "They remember every wound, every betrayal, and they do not forget." He warned them that humanity had built walls not just of metal, but of control. Humans learned to hide their anger. They locked it away, deep inside their minds and laws. But anger, he said, does not disappear. It waits. A wave of laughter passed through the hall. One council member loudly said that every species had anger. Every species had war. Humanity was not special. The elder raised one hand, and the hall quieted again. "You are wrong," he said. "Most species fight for power. Humans fight for meaning." He explained that humans did not seek conquest first. They sought safety, family, memory. But when those things were taken, humans did not respond with simple revenge. They responded with purpose. The elder warned them of a past event, long erased from public records. A time when humans were pushed too far. He did not show images. He did not name worlds. He only said that stars once went dark because humanity decided survival was not enough. The council demanded proof. The elder lowered his gaze. "The proof was hidden to protect you," he said. "And to protect them." His voice grew heavy. "If you strike humanity without mercy, they will answer without limits." The council leader stood and thanked the elder for his words, but his tone was polite and empty. He declared that the council would continue as planned. Trade routes would expand. Borders would be tested. Human systems near alien space would be adjusted. The word "adjusted" echoed through the hall. The elder closed his eyes. He had heard that word before, long ago, spoken just before disaster. As the meeting ended, the council members left in groups, still laughing, still confident. None of them noticed the elder remain behind. He stood alone in the vast hall, staring at the empty center where decisions were made. His hands trembled slightly, not from age, but from fear. He whispered to himself, a quiet truth meant for no one else. "They will wake the storm," he said. Outside the council hall, far across the stars, humanity continued its quiet watch, unaware that the galaxy had just made its first and greatest mistake. The galaxy believed itself strong. 4,000 of cycles, No single power had challenged the balance set by the Galactic Council. Great empires rose with massive fleets and advanced weapons. Planets were conquered, treaties were signed, and borders were redrawn again and again. To the Council, power was measured in numbers, technology, and fear. By these rules, humanity did not matter. Humans had few colonies, smaller fleets, and too many rules about war. This belief made the Council comfortable. Comfort made them careless. In their records, humanity was labeled as predictable. Humans argued among themselves. They protested wars. They debated rules and morals while stronger species acted without hesitation. To the galaxy, this looked like weakness. Alien historians wrote that humans lacked unity. Military analysts claimed humans would collapse under pressure. No one asked why humans survived so long on such a harsh world. No one asked how a divided species still reached the stars. Those questions were ignored. The council chambers filled again days later. Reports were shared openly. Trade simulations showed profit. Border maps showed human systems near valuable routes. Some council members suggested moving military patrols closer to human space. Not for war, they said, but for control. Humans would complain, send messages, maybe protest. Then they would accept it. That was how weak species behaved. The Council agreed. The galaxy had nothing to fear from humans. Far from the Council, the Elder sat alone in a quiet archive. The room was old, filled with records sealed by time and law. Many files were locked behind codes few remembered. The Elder moved slowly, his fingers tracing symbols carved into stone and data crystals. He unlocked records that had not been opened in centuries. Images flickered to life. Old battlefields. Broken worlds. Silent stars. The Elder closed his eyes. He remembered the screams that never reached history. These records told a different story of humanity. They showed humans losing worlds and rebuilding them. They showed humans fighting enemies stronger than themselves and refusing to surrender. Again and again, humans adapted. When technology failed, they used strategy. When strategy failed, they used sacrifice. The Elder knew the truth the Council refused to see. Humanity did not avoid war because they feared it. They avoided war because they understood it too well. The Council, meanwhile, continued to talk. A military commander proposed a small operation. A human border colony sat near a resource-rich region. Moving control there would send a message. Humans would complain, but they would not fight. The operation was labeled low risk. No full fleets. No major force. Just enough to remind humans of their place. The Council approved it quickly. There was no vote against it. The Elder was not present. On human worlds, life went on quietly. Cities glowed under artificial skies. Ships traveled between systems. Families lived, worked, and dreamed. Humans watched the stars with curiosity, not fear. When reports arrived of alien patrols moving closer, human leaders discussed it calmly. Messages were sent. Questions were asked. No weapons were fired. To the galaxy, this confirmed everything they believed. Humans were passive. Humans would accept pressure. But inside human command centers, deeper systems activated. Old protocols long untouched were reviewed. Silent networks began to share information. No public announcements were made. No threats were sent. Humanity did not rush. Humanity prepared. They remembered stories taught quietly, stories not shared with outsiders. Stories about lines that must never be crossed. Back in the archive, the Elder watched one final record. It showed a council much like the current one, long ago. Proud leaders laughing at warnings. Confident voices dismissing fear. The record ended with empty chairs and a darkened star map. The Elder turned away. He knew the pattern. He knew how this story ended if no one listened. When the council received the final confirmation that the operation would begin, they celebrated. To them, this was not war. It was control. It was order. The galaxy had faced countless small species like humanity before. None of them changed history. None of them mattered. The council leader spoke with pride. The galaxy fears no one, he said. The elder felt the shift before the first shot was fired. It was not fear that moved through the stars. It was memory. Humanity had been tested many times in its past. Each test left scars. Each scar became a lesson. As alien ships crossed the invisible line into human space, the elder whispered a warning too late for anyone to hear. "You believe no one can stand against you," he said softly. "You forgot the species that learned how to stand alone." The operation began without ceremony. Alien ships entered the human border system under the banner of patrol and protection. Their commanders believed this show of force would be enough. No shots were fired at first. They moved slowly, confidently, as if walking through empty land. Human stations detected the ships and sent standard signals. Requests for identification. Requests for intent. The alien ships ignored most of them. To the galaxy, this silence was power. The border colony was small. A few habitats, mining platforms, and civilian ships moved between them. It was not a military world. That was why it was chosen. The Council wanted a clean message, not a battle. Alien troops landed near key facilities and began to take control. Human workers were ordered to stand down. Some were pushed aside. Some were detained. No one resisted. No weapons were raised. To the alien commanders, this confirmed everything they believed about humanity. News of the occupation spread quickly through human space. On public channels, leaders spoke carefully. They demanded explanations. They called for negotiation. They asked the Council to reconsider. Their words were calm, controlled, and legal. To the galaxy, this looked like fear. To humans, it was restraint. Inside closed rooms, different conversations were happening. Quiet voices spoke of lines crossed and promises broken. The Council received human messages and dismissed them. One leader laughed and said humans were begging already. Another said the colony would be returned later, after agreements were signed. The word later carried no meaning. The operation was working exactly as planned. Human anger, if it existed, remained invisible. The Council saw no fleets moving, no threats, no warnings. They relaxed. On the occupied colony, conditions worsened. Alien troops enforced strict control. Supplies were redirected. Communication was limited. A small protest formed near one of the habitats. It was peaceful. Human civilians stood silently, holding symbols of their colony. An alien officer ordered the protest dispersed. When the humans did not move fast enough, shots were fired into the air. Panic followed. In the chaos, a civilian was struck and killed. The officer reported it as an accident. That single death changed everything. The report reached Earth within minutes. It passed through layers of command without delay. No speeches followed. No public broadcasts. Instead, a system long buried was activated. Human military archives opened. Strategic networks synchronized. Old alliances were contacted with simple codes. Humanity did not shout. Humanity did not rush. Humanity remembered. On the Council world, celebrations continued. Trade projections rose. Control of the region was nearly complete. Then something unexpected happened. A human message arrived, broadcast on all Council channels. It was not a threat. It was not a plea. It was short and clear. "We remember everything." The Council members were confused. Some laughed. Others ignored it. The message was logged and forgotten. The alien commanders on the colony reported strange sensor readings. Distant signals appeared and vanished. Their scanners showed empty space, yet systems failed without reason. Communication delays grew longer. A patrol ship on the edge of the system stopped responding. Search teams found nothing. No debris. No energy traces. It was as if the ship had never existed. Fear began to spread quietly. The alien officers told themselves it was a technical error. Humans had no weapons capable of such things. That was what the data said. That was what they believed. They increased patrols and tightened control. More troops were deployed. This only made the humans on the colony more silent. In a hidden human command center, Leaders stood around a dark display. No maps. No stars. Only a single line of text. The line marked the moment the first civilian died. Below it were names. Not of enemies, but of human worlds lost throughout history. Each name represented a lesson paid for in blood. The leaders did not speak. They did not argue. The decision had already been made. The elder felt it again, stronger this time. A shift, like gravity changing direction. He watched the council chamber from the shadows as reports of missing ships and sensor failures arrived. Confusion replaced confidence. The elder knew this phase well. It always began with disbelief. He whispered to himself, his voice filled with sorrow. This was the warning, he said. The first mistake. As the alien occupation forces waited for orders, human space went completely silent. No messages. No protests. No negotiation. Across the galaxy, stars watched as a species known for debate and restraint chose a different path. Humanity had spoken its last peaceful words. Now, the answer would come in actions, and the galaxy was not ready to understand them. Silence spread through human space like a held breath. Communication channels that once carried debate and diplomacy went quiet. No public statements followed the occupation. No emergency sessions were called. To the galaxy, this silence looked like surrender. Council analysts reported that human leadership was divided or afraid. They assumed internal conflict had begun. History, they believed, was repeating itself. Weak species always broke under pressure. On the occupied colony, the silence felt heavy. Human civilians stopped asking questions. They followed orders without protest. Alien commanders felt uneasy. Control should have felt easier, yet it did not. Patrols reported that human workers watched them closely, not with hatred, but with calm focus. It was not the look of defeat. It was the look of people waiting for something to happen. Strange events continued. Power systems failed for seconds at a time, then returned without damage. Navigation data shifted slightly, then corrected itself. Supply ships reported delays caused by unexplained interference. Each issue alone meant nothing. Together, they formed a pattern no one wanted to name. The alien officers blamed faulty equipment and demanded replacements. None arrived. Far from the colony, in deep human space, fleets moved without lights. Ships followed old routes known only to human navigators. These paths were not marked on galactic maps. They were lessons learned from centuries of war and loss. Human commanders did not seek battle yet. They positioned themselves with care, watching, measuring, and remembering. Within the council, impatience grew. Reports of missing patrols increased. A military leader demanded stronger action. Another argued that humans were planning something. The council leader dismissed these fears. He reminded them that no human fleet had been detected. No weapon tests had been observed. The galaxy's sensors saw nothing. To him, what could not be seen did not exist. The elder watched these debates in silence. He knew what came next. Humanity always went quiet before it acted. They studied their enemy. They learned their habits. They waited for the moment when action would matter most. The elder remembered worlds saved by such patience, and worlds destroyed by ignoring it. His warnings now felt like echoes in an empty room. On the colony, an alien patrol discovered a human listening post hidden inside an asteroid. It was old and unarmed. Data logs showed it had been active for decades, recording traffic and behavior. The discovery angered the commanders. They saw it as proof of human deception. Orders were given to destroy it. The post was erased in a bright flash, and with it, decades of quiet observation. The destruction of the listening post triggered something unseen. Deep within human systems, final protocols unlocked. These were not weapons commands. They were memory commands. Historical data, strategic simulations, and archived failures flowed into active networks. Humanity compared the present to the past, not to repeat mistakes, but to finish what had once been left undone. The Council finally received a human transmission. It was not addressed to them. It was a general broadcast, sent across open space. The message was simple. It named the colony. It named the civilian who had died. It ended with a single sentence. This line was crossed. The council dismissed it as emotion. They did not understand that humans recorded such moments as facts, not feelings. Hours later, the first clear sign appeared. A massive alien supply hub near the border lost power completely. Not damaged. Not destroyed. Simply off. Backup systems failed to activate. Crews reported no attack, no energy surge, no warning. The hub drifted silently. Rescue ships sent to assist lost contact as they approached. Panic spread through the local command. The council called an emergency meeting. Voices rose. Accusations flew. Some demanded immediate war. Others demanded retreat. Still, no one saw a human ship. The galaxy was facing an enemy it could not detect. The elder stood slowly and spoke once more. His voice was tired. "This is the part where you ask for proof," he said. "And this is the part where proof arrives too late." As alien forces waited for orders, human fleets closed unseen distances. They did not rush. They did not celebrate. They moved with the calm certainty of a species that had already accepted the cost of what came next. Across the stars, the silence ended. Not with sound, but with absence. And the galaxy began to understand that humanity's quiet was not weakness. It was focus. The first strike did not look like war. There was no explosion in the sky, no bright flash for the cameras, no warning alarms screaming across the stars. One moment, the alien military base near the human border was fully operational. The next moment, it was simply gone. Sensors showed empty space where a massive structure had existed seconds before. No debris. No energy trail. No sign of attack. It was as if the base had been erased from reality. Panic spread faster than any weapon. Alien commanders demanded answers from their technicians. Scanners were recalibrated again and again. Long-range sensors were pushed beyond safe limits. Still, nothing appeared. No human ships. No weapon signatures. The galaxy had faced destruction before, but never disappearance. This was not how wars were fought. This was not how enemies behaved. On the occupied human colony, alien troops froze as reports arrived. The base that supported their operation no longer existed. Supply routes vanished from maps. Communication channels filled with broken signals and static. Orders conflicted. Some commanders told their forces to hold position. Others demanded immediate retreat. The troops looked to the humans for reaction. The humans did not cheer. They did not protest. They simply watched. In the council chamber, chaos replaced pride. Leaders shouted over one another. Some accused rival empires of secret weapons. Others blamed internal failure. The council leader demanded calm and ordered a full military scan of human space. The results came back empty. Humanity was still invisible. That terrified them more than any fleet ever could. The elder stood at the edge of the chamber, his face heavy with sadness. He had seen this moment before, in a different age, under different stars. He spoke quietly, but the room slowly fell silent. "This was not an attack," he said. "This was a statement." No one asked what he meant. They were beginning to understand. Far from the council world, a human task group observed the results of the strike. No celebration followed. No words were exchanged. The commanders recorded the outcome and moved on to the next phase. For humanity, this was not revenge. It was correction. A problem had been identified. A response had been measured. The response had been delivered. The alien occupation forces received new orders. Withdraw from the colony immediately. Leave equipment behind if necessary. Survival now mattered more than control. As troops began to pull back, human civilians stepped aside calmly. No one attacked. No one blocked their path. This frightened the aliens more than resistance would have. It felt like permission had already been withdrawn. As the last alien ship lifted from the colony, its engines failed without warning. The ship drifted helplessly. Crew members screamed as systems shut down one by one. Then the ship vanished, just like the base before it. The sky above the colony remained clear and quiet. The humans looked up briefly, then returned to their lives. Across the galaxy, more reports arrived. Outposts lost power. Fleets lost navigation. Command ships vanished during routine maneuvers. Always the same pattern. No warning. No trace. Humanity never claimed responsibility. They did not broadcast threats or demands. They let the galaxy connect the dots on its own. The Council finally sent a message to Earth. This time, it was not polite. It was urgent. It demanded explanation and negotiation. Hours passed with no response. Days passed. When a reply finally came, it was brief. "Withdraw from all human systems," it said. "Return what you took." There was no anger in the words. No insult. That calm terrified the Council more than rage ever could. The Elder closed his eyes when he heard the message. "Now they speak," he whispered. Not with wrath, but with certainty. He knew the next choice would decide everything. Humanity had shown restraint by striking only military targets, by avoiding civilian loss, by allowing retreat. This was mercy, human style. Cold, controlled, and limited. But the galaxy hesitated. Pride argued against fear. Some leaders believed this was a bluff, a trick. Others believed they could still win if they acted fast. Fleets began to gather. Emergency defenses activated. The galaxy prepared for a war it still did not understand. Humanity watched and waited. They had delivered the first strike not to destroy the galaxy, but to wake it. To remind it of an old truth the Elder had tried to share. When humans were ignored, they spoke softly. When they were pushed, they acted carefully. And when they were forced to choose, they always finished what they started. The galaxy began to search for answers, but the truth had been hidden in plain sight for a long time. After the first human strikes, analysts and historians rushed to review old data. Forgotten conflicts. Sealed reports. Broken records. They looked for patterns and found something unsettling. Humanity's behavior was consistent. They avoided war for as long as possible. They argued, delayed, and restrained themselves. But when a line was crossed, their response was not chaos. It was structure. Human history was filled with loss. Entire cities erased by their own wars. Worlds scarred by disaster. Species that survived such pain usually became cruel or broken. Humans became careful. They built rules, laws, limits, not to protect others, but to protect themselves from what they knew they could become. The galaxy mistook these limits for weakness. The Elder had tried to explain this. Few had listened. As alien fleets gathered near human space, human forces did not rush to meet them. Instead, they observed. Every movement was recorded. Every signal analyzed. Humanity treated the galaxy like a complex problem, not an enemy driven by emotion. That was the difference. Humans did not fight to prove strength. They fought to end threats permanently. On the Council world, fear spread through the lower levels of government. Trade collapsed in border regions. Insurance networks failed. Shipping lanes shut down without explanation. Civilian populations demanded answers. The Council offered none. They could not explain an enemy that refused to be seen. They could not promise safety when stars themselves seemed to swallow fleets. The Elder was summoned once more. This time, no one laughed. No one interrupted. The Council leader asked the question that should have been asked long ago. Why are they like this? The Elder looked around the chamber and answered slowly. Because humanity learned the cost of survival early, he said. They learned that victory without control destroys the victor. He explained that human military doctrine was shaped by memory. Every failure was studied. Every war was archived. Humans taught their children not just how they won, but how they lost. This created a culture that respected consequences. When humans acted, they did so knowing the weight of what followed. That knowledge made them dangerous. As fleets continued to gather, humanity made another move. A single human ship appeared on Council sensors for the first time. It did not hide. It did not attack. It stopped at the edge of neutral space and waited. The galaxy focused on it, pouring every scanner and weapon system into tracking it. The ship did nothing. Then, across the galaxy, 3 more alien military installations went dark. No human ships were seen near them. The message was clear. Humanity did not need proximity. They did not need presence. Distance did not protect their enemies. The Council demanded that the human ship speak. Hours passed. Finally, a calm voice answered. It did not name itself. It did not threaten. It spoke like a teacher explaining a lesson already failed. "We warned you through silence," the voice said. "We warned you through restraint. Now we warn you through action." The transmission ended. The human ship remained motionless for a time, then vanished from sensors without any visible movement. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. For the first time, the galaxy faced a species it could not track, predict, or intimidate. The rules they had written no longer applied. The elder lowered his head. "This is the truth about humanity," he said quietly. "They do not seek domination. They seek resolution." He warned that if the galaxy continued to escalate, humanity would not match it step for step. They would end it in ways the galaxy would never forget. As the Council debated retreat or resistance, humanity prepared for neither victory nor defeat. They prepared for closure. They identified core threats and calculated outcomes. To them, this was not a war of pride. It was a necessary correction to restore balance. Across human worlds, citizens were informed of the situation. There was no panic, no celebration, only understanding. Humans had been here before, fighting for survival against forces that underestimated them. They trusted their leaders because those leaders remembered history. The galaxy was beginning to understand the lesson the Elder had tried to teach from the beginning. Humanity was not dangerous because of its anger. Humanity was dangerous because of its control over that anger. And once that control was released, even slightly, the universe itself had to adjust. The galaxy began to fall, not in flames, but in order. One by one, the strongest alien powers lost the ability to command their own forces. Communication networks collapsed without being destroyed. Military fleets found themselves unable to navigate. Weapon systems refused to activate. The galaxy had prepared for invasion, but humanity did not invade. Humanity disconnected. Entire empires woke to find their defenses useless. Their fleets drifted in space, alive but powerless. Their command worlds remained untouched, yet completely exposed. Panic spread through leadership circles. Generals shouted orders that could not be carried out. Sensors showed nothing attacking them. There was no enemy to fight. That was the terror. Human strategy was precise. They targeted only military control structures, never civilian systems. Power grids stayed active. Hospitals functioned. Trade within systems continued. Humanity was not punishing populations. They were removing the tools of aggression. This made the message impossible to ignore. The galaxy could not claim victimhood when civilians were safe. On the Council world, leaders watched empire after empire lose control. Those who once argued for war now begged for pause. Emergency messages were sent to human space, asking for terms. Some demanded negotiations. Others pleaded. Humanity did not respond immediately. Silence returned, but this time, it carried meaning. The Elder walked through the council hall as if it were already a ruin. He knew this stage well. Pride was breaking. Fear had taken its place. He stopped before the council leader and spoke softly. "They are not destroying you," he said. "They are teaching you." The leader did not argue. He could see it now. In several systems, alien commanders attempted desperate action. They launched weapons manually. They tried old, unconnected systems. Each attempt failed. Humanity had anticipated these responses. Centuries of human conflict had taught them that desperation created innovation. They planned for it. That planning made resistance pointless. A final human broadcast reached the galaxy. It was not sent from a single point, but from everywhere at once. The voice was calm, clear, and without emotion. "You crossed our borders," it said. "You harmed our people. This response is limited. It can end now." No threats followed. No deadlines were given. The choice was left to the galaxy. The First Empire surrendered within hours. Its leaders ordered a full withdrawal from human space and opened their military records. Humanity responded by restoring their systems. Power returned. Navigation stabilized. The lesson was immediate and clear. Cooperation brought recovery. Resistance brought silence. More empires followed. One by one, they stepped back, dismantled border forces, and accepted human oversight of disputed regions. Humanity did not occupy their worlds. They did not place governors or demand tribute. They enforced one rule only: no unprovoked aggression. No silent expansion. The galaxy had to change its behavior, not its rulers. The council dissolved under the weight of its failure. Its authority meant nothing without power to enforce it. In its place, temporary assemblies formed, guided by human observers. The elder watched this transformation with mixed emotion. He was relieved the destruction was limited. He was saddened that it had taken such loss of trust to reach this point. Across human space, fleets returned to hidden routes. Weapons powered down. Emergency protocols closed. Humanity did not celebrate. There were no parades. No songs of victory. Humans marked the names of the lost and recorded the lesson for future generations. This was how they honored conflict. By remembering it. The galaxy learned a painful truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technology or strategy. It was restraint. The ability to stop once the objective was achieved. Many species could conquer. Few could end a war without being consumed by it. As systems stabilized, trade resumed under new rules. Borders were redrawn with mutual consent. The fear of humanity remained, but it was mixed with respect. They were no longer seen as weak or emotional. They were seen as a force that acted only when necessary, and when it did, acted completely. The elder stood beneath a star map slowly returning to life. He whispered a quiet thought. They feared humanity's wrath, he said. They should have feared humanity's discipline. The galaxy had paid the price for ignoring the warning, but it had also been given a chance to survive. That chance existed only because humans chose control over destruction, and the universe would never forget that choice. The ruins of the old council hall were silent. The great chamber still stood, but its power was gone. Broken symbols of authority lay scattered across the floor, not from battle, but from abandonment. The leaders who once spoke with confidence had left or faded into irrelevance. In their place, temporary delegates moved carefully, aware that every decision now carried weight. The galaxy was quieter, and in that quiet, it listened. The elder returned to the hall alone. He moved slowly, leaning on a staff worn smooth by time. This place had once been the center of everything. He remembered the laughter, the arrogance, the certainty. Now there was only reflection. He stood where the council leader once sat and closed his eyes. He did not feel victory. He felt regret. The elder knew he had spoken the truth too late. He had warned them, but warnings were not enough. He wondered if stronger words, or harsher actions, could have changed the path. But the past did not bend to wishes. The galaxy had chosen its lesson, and humanity had delivered it with cold precision. Across the stars, human observers worked quietly. They monitored systems, ensured compliance, and restored stability. They did not rule directly. They advised, corrected, and withdrew when order returned. Humanity did not want to sit on thrones. They wanted the galaxy to function without threats. This confused many species. Power, to them, always meant control. Humans proved it could mean restraint. On several worlds, former council members faced judgment by their own people. Not by human command, but by public demand. Citizens had seen their leaders' pride nearly destroy them. Trust had been broken. Change followed. The galaxy was reshaping itself from within, guided by fear, memory, and a new respect for consequences. The elder met with a human representative for the first time since the crisis began. The human was calm, neither proud nor hostile. They spoke briefly. The elder asked why humanity stopped when it could have gone further. The human answered simply, "Because stopping is the hardest part." The elder understood. That answer carried centuries of pain. The elder admitted his failure. He told the human he had tried to warn the galaxy, but had been ignored. The human did not blame him. "People rarely listen until they must," the human said. "We learned that lesson early." There was no bitterness in the words, only acceptance. As stability returned, the galaxy began to study humanity more honestly. They learned of Earth's wars, its near self-destruction, its slow rebuilding. They learned how humans almost ended themselves, and how that memory shaped everything that followed. Fear of repeating that mistake drove human policy. Control was not kindness. It was survival. The council hall was officially closed. Its authority was declared obsolete. A new framework was proposed, built on shared responsibility rather than dominance. Humanity did not lead it. They observed it. The galaxy was forced to grow without a single ruling voice. That, the elder realized, was perhaps humanity's greatest gift. Standing beneath the dim lights of the abandoned hall, the elder spoke aloud, though no one was there to hear him. He apologized, not to the council, but to the stars, for the arrogance that blinded them, for the lives lost because warnings were ignored. His voice echoed softly and faded. Elsewhere, human fleets completed their final withdrawals. Hidden paths closed. Silent networks powered down. Humanity returned to its worlds, its people, its endless debates and disagreements. To outsiders, it looked like they were stepping back into weakness again. But the galaxy now knew better. The elder looked up at a star map showing human space, stable and calm. He realized the true lesson had not been about wrath. It had been about responsibility. Humanity did not punish the galaxy because it could. It corrected it because it had to. As he left the hall for the last time, the elder felt a strange peace. The galaxy had survived its mistake. It had learned, painfully but completely. And in the quiet that followed, one truth remained clear to all who remembered. Humanity was not the galaxy's ruler. It was its reminder. The galaxy was different now. Borders were still drawn, trade still flowed, and fleets still moved, but the way species interacted had changed forever. No longer could empires act on pride alone. Fear of humanity was constant, not the fear of destruction, but the fear of precision, memory, and restraint. Humanity had taught a lesson that could not be unlearned. The galaxy had to adapt. Human fleets no longer moved in secrecy, but they did not show off their presence either. They traveled quietly, patrolling only where necessary. When disputes arose between alien powers, human observers arrived, not as rulers, but as moderators. They suggested solutions, highlighted risks, and ensured fairness. Humanity did not occupy worlds. They did not govern other species. Their power lay in their ability to act when needed, not in dominance. Alien leaders began to understand this. They saw how humans intervened only when lines were crossed. No petty quarrel drew their attention. No political game mattered unless it affected lives or stability. Respect grew faster than fear. Some leaders sent delegations to learn, not to negotiate. They wanted to understand how a species that seemed so small could wield such influence without traditional force. Humans explained patiently, never condescending. Their words carried weight because of actions, not rhetoric. The elder watched all of this quietly. He had expected revenge, chaos, or long-term occupation. Instead, he saw something he had not fully believed possible, a species that reshaped the galaxy without claiming it. He realized humanity's true strength had always been balance. They acted with memory, with caution, and with clarity. They were neither conquerors nor diplomats. They were guardians. On worlds that had resisted or underestimated humanity, fear mixed with admiration. Civilizations began restructuring their governments and military commands. They reduced reckless expansions and improved internal discipline. Humans rarely interfered directly. Their presence alone, sometimes a single ship in orbit, was enough to ensure compliance. Alien commanders told stories of their encounters. They spoke of calm calculations, precise interventions, and absence that was more powerful than attack. The galaxy slowly formed a new order. It was not imposed by humans. It was created because species recognized that traditional power could no longer ensure safety. Alliances shifted. Former rivals negotiated carefully. Disputes that once would have led to war were now mediated with humans observing. No one wanted to test their patience. Humanity did not threaten, but they remembered. Every action was noted. Every violation counted. In this new order, humans rarely celebrated victories. They recorded history, taught lessons, and honored those who had fallen. Citizens understood the cost of restraint. They discussed morality, law, and strategy daily. Humanity had learned long ago that victory without understanding was meaningless. They did not boast. They did not issue ultimatums. They simply ensured the galaxy could not repeat the mistakes that almost destroyed it. The Elder met with young leaders from different species who came to study human methods. They asked questions about strategy, ethics, and control. The Elder explained what he had learned, that humans survived because they controlled themselves. They struck with precision, not anger. They taught, but they did not rule. Their discipline was unmatched. The galaxy could gain knowledge, but only humans could wield it fully. Human fleets patrolled quietly along former conflict zones. They ensured trade routes remained safe. They monitored borders, not to claim territory, but to protect lives. Every action was measured. Every intervention deliberate. The galaxy began to recognize that humanity's presence alone created stability. Civilizations that once acted recklessly now paused to consider consequences. Humanity had rewritten the rules, not through force, but through action and restraint. The Elder looked up at the stars, at a galaxy slowly reshaping itself, and whispered, "This is the new order. Not ruled, but guided. Not feared, but respected." He realized that humanity had achieved something no species had before. They had created peace without surrender, order without domination, and fear without cruelty. The galaxy would remember this era forever, not because humans had conquered it, but because humans had taught it to survive wisely. And humanity continued quietly, observing, correcting, and remembering. Their fleets returned home. Their people went about daily life. Their children learned the history of the wars they never fought directly, and the lessons humanity had delivered perfectly. Across the stars, one truth became clear to all species. Humans did not need power to enforce order. Their discipline, memory, and choice to act made them the galaxy's silent guardians. The Elder smiled, knowing that this new order was not temporary. It was the future, shaped quietly by a species that had learned long ago how to survive, and how to teach without conquering. Humanity's message reached every corner of the galaxy, not through war, not through threats, but through presence and silence. Where fleets once clashed and empires competed for dominance, now there was calm, measured observation. Humans did not occupy worlds. They did not govern, legislate, or claim authority. Their influence was subtle, precise, and undeniable. The galaxy had learned to act differently, knowing that one misstep could draw humanity's measured response. Across countless star systems, leaders reflected on what had happened. Borders were secure, trade flowed, and communication networks functioned, but the fear of human oversight remained. It was not fear born of destruction or aggression. It was respect for a species that remembered every violation and responded with precision. Every council, every empire, every fleet understood one truth. Humanity did not act out of anger, but they always acted when necessary. The Elder moved among the quiet halls of the former council. His eyes, ancient and weary, scanned the empty chambers. The arrogance that had once filled this place was gone. Pride had been replaced by humility and caution. He walked past the remnants of old symbols, broken seals, and faded banners. Nothing remained to remind him of the past mistakes of the galaxy, only lessons. Humanity had enforced change without violence, without taking crowns or titles. That, he knew, was their greatest power. Human fleets now traveled openly but unobtrusively. Ships glided silently through neutral space, observing, measuring, and recording. No alarms sounded. No warnings were sent. Human commanders did not broadcast intentions. They acted only when necessary and always with discretion. Entire alien empires had reorganized their militaries to avoid human interference. The lessons had been internalized. Humanity did not need to strike again to maintain control. Memory and restraint were enough. On former council worlds, meetings continued, but the tone was different. Arguments were tempered with understanding, and decisions weighed for consequence rather than pride. Alien leaders admitted their failures. Many species had once dismissed humanity as weak, emotional, or insignificant. Now they understood. Humans were neither reckless nor weak. They were disciplined, calculating, and, above all, consistent. A species that learned from history and never forgot its lessons could not be underestimated. The elder met with young scholars from multiple species who had traveled to study humanity. They asked about strategy, morality, and power. The elder told them stories of past mistakes, wars, and human resilience. He explained that humans did not fight to dominate or destroy. They fought to correct, to balance, and to preserve life wherever possible. Their actions were never about pride, conquest, or glory. They were about responsibility. Every choice, every strike, every intervention was deliberate and measured. On Earth and across human-controlled space, people went about their lives. Cities thrived. Trade continued. Children learned the history of a species that had faced the galaxy, had been underestimated, and had enforced order without cruelty. The lessons of restraint, precision, and memory were taught as part of everyday life. Humanity had not sought war, but when it was forced upon them, they responded fully and perfectly. The galaxy would not forget. Former empires had begun to reshape themselves. Leadership was more cautious, decisions more thoughtful. Aggression without purpose was discouraged. Alliances were formed with care. Conflicts were mediated with attention to consequence. Humanity's intervention had not created slaves or subjects. It had created a galaxy forced to understand the cost of recklessness. Civilization itself had matured under observation, guided by the quiet lessons of humans who acted when necessary. The elder stood beneath the stars, looking at the galaxy as it had become. Silence surrounded him, but it was not empty. It was full of knowledge, understanding, and restraint. He whispered, "They taught the galaxy without taking it. They corrected without cruelty. They acted with purpose." The stars seemed to shine brighter as if acknowledging the truth. Humanity's discipline had reshaped the order of everything without demanding power. Finally, humanity sent one last message across the galaxy. Not a threat. Not a command. Simply a reminder. We do not seek war. We do not seek dominion. We act only when necessary. Remember this. The words carried weight because they were backed by action, history, and memory. The galaxy listened. The lesson was complete. The elder smiled and left the observation deck. Humanity had proven that strength was not measured by weapons or fleets, but by discipline, memory, and the courage to act correctly. Across the stars, civilizations knew that humans were not rulers, conquerors, or tyrants. They were guardians, teachers, and a constant reminder that mistakes could be fatal, but restraint could save worlds. And in that truth, the galaxy found a fragile, enduring peace, one that would be remembered for all cycles to come.